and today we are going to learn how to draw the grid of the mandala. I hope you all have gone through the video once or twice, to understand what mandala is, because that is very important before we start drawing. In fact, before we doing any work, we need to say, even if we are cooking or we are drawing a portrait or we are painting or coloring or drawing anything, if we are going into the depth of the thing, we need to understand it completely. So if you haven't done that, I would request you to go through the video one or two times, to understand the mandala in depth. Okay, so today we are going to start with the how to make the grid of the mandala. Again, another important point, because unless we know how to make the grid, we cannot move forward. We cannot make different designs and different patterns of the mandala. So for that, I asked you all to keep A4 sheets with you and your regular stationery material, right? Yeah, so is it clearly visible? Can someone tell me, is it clearly visible? I assume it is visible, right? So let's start working on that. To draw any mandala, we need a circle, okay, and we need a center that we already learned yesterday. So to get a center and to get a circle, and that circle has to be within the square. Okay, so when we take a A4 sheet, it is a rectangular sheet. So we measure the smaller side of the A4 sheet, which is 21 centimeters. Okay, so if we are working on A4 sheet, we take this measurement. If we are working on any other sheet, if you're working on a bigger sheet or chart paper or a A3 sheet, you draw a square on that. Okay, so for A4 sheet, only because I have to show you, it should be big enough and clear enough online. So I am taking the whole of this measurement of the sheet. So this is 21 centimeter here. I will take 21 centimeter this side and mark a square. Mark it here and mark it on the other side as well. And then draw a straight line. See, I'm telling you really basic steps also, because I do know how many of you know all this. We start working on different drawings or different anything, maybe it's embroidery or cooking or anything. We start working on it just on how much we learn from any teacher or anybody or online or whatever. But at times we get stuck due to a simple tip or a simple basic point. So I don't want my students to get stuck anyway on any size of the sheet or the canvas or whatever you're working on. Maybe one day you decide to make a bed sheet, with a huge mandala on that. So you should know how to make a huge one also. Like today, if we make a 7 centimeter radius circle, you should know how to make a 7 inch or a 17 inch or a 24-inch radius circle also. So I am giving you the tips for that as well. That's why I am telling you this basic thing also. Okay. So first you mark a square. Once that is done, from the corner of this square, from this corner to this corner, draw one straight line. Oops, it went wrong. So I will have to erase it. Even, 0.01 if the line goes wrong, you don't get exact divisions in the mandala. Actually, my pencil is missing. Sure. So another tip is that when you are making the grid of the mandala, your pencil should be well sharpened. It should have a nice tip and no need to draw very dark lines. Okay, because in the end we will be erasing them, so we need very soft lines. So any pencil that you're using, don't push it hard to draw the line. Now I am drawing slightly darker so that they are visible to you, but actually you should be drawing even lighter. Are these lines visible? I hope they are. Once this is done, take a pen, preferably a black, because mostly we work with black pens on mandalas. But if you are working with any color or something, use accordingly. And make a small dot here where both the lines are intersecting. Make a small dot, that is, you're marking the center. Not really. Okay, so let me try. Just give me a second. I'll switch on the light and draw the curtains. I think that will work. Visible now? Actually, because of work from home, the men are also at home and their office is also going on. So I had to change my online class area table. I hope that's visible. Otherwise, I'll do it with the pen and show you. But then pen later will not be able to erase. I don't think it's visible yet. Anybody please let me know, is it visible? Then I'll move ahead, otherwise I'll try something else. Only because I'm working with a pencil, this problem is arising. Otherwise, I take my classes on this table as well, but never. Okay, I'll make it darker. Okay, what I'll do is I'll make it with a pen. Okay, and then I'll explain you about erasing and all, and then for tomorrow, I'll take my regular. I'll do it on my regular table so that everything is clearly visible. See, I'm using a black pen, but you have to do it with a pencil, right? This is how you have to draw two diagonal lines in your square. Now there is this point where the two lines are meeting. So here you make a dot. Now for this I am using a red pen now. Okay. Make a small dot to mark the center of the circle. And now you measure the radius, whatever you want for your circle. For this 21 centimeter square, 7 to 8 centimeter of radius works well. I'll take 8. Yeah, 8 will be good. You can do that first with the scale to see, okay, that you don't touch the edges of the square. You should have some space around. So 8 goes well, even 9 works well. Okay, and because this I am telling you because of your the size of the canvas that you're working. So you should know how to take the radius of your circle. Now put the pin of your compass on the dot that you have drawn, the center. Okay, and draw a circle. Now this has to be done with a pencil or I'll see if a pen goes inside. Yes, it works. See, when you're on your table, you have lots of things around. Oops. Have to be very, very careful that the center doesn't, the compass doesn't move from the center. So draw a circle. You can either hold the pen or the pencil, whatever is there, and draw a circle. That makes it very easy. Okay. Or you can hold the tip of the compass and draw. So this is the basic uh, pattern of mandala. Okay, square, then divide it into 4 parts with 2 diagonal lines, mark the center, and then draw the circle. This is the most basic uh, pattern or the grid to draw the to make the mandala, to make the markings for the mandala. Now, how can we divide this further? Like right now, we have only 4 uh, partitions within the circle. Okay, so how we go further is we use this protractor. Okay, so all those who had maths as a subject know very well how to use, and those who left it quite early may not really remember or remember. Okay, in both cases, alpha isn't visible even after doing with pen. I can see the lines on my phone. It is visible. Even after pen, they are not visible. Hmm. Okay, clear now. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, so how do we use this to divide the circle into more number? Okay, now right now we have 4 partitions. So we keep, see, I hope all of you know how to use it, but still, I will explain you very right from the beginning how to work with it. See, we have this 90-degree angle mark over here on the protractor. Okay, so this point we put over here on the center of our circle, and the line, this line should be absolutely straight on the line that we have already drawn. Okay, the protractor line should be absolutely straight. This is moving a bit because I'm holding it in my hand. Yeah, perfect now. This should be absolutely straight here also on 90-degree. Okay, because we have 2 lines, we have it on 90-degree also, but we can do it with single line also. Suppose we have a single line in center of the circle. That is, first we draw the circle and then we have drawn a line. We have a single line. Okay, so in that case also you put your protractor on that single line with this center of the protractor on the center of your circle, and you mark a 90-degree, put a dot on 90-degree. Right now we have that line, but if we don't have, you put a dot on 90-degree. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is that I'll put a dot on, suppose I have to divide it into 8 parts. I'm using a pen to show you what we are doing, but you should be working with a pencil. Okay, so half of 90 is 45. So I put a dot here on 45 and another dot here on 45. We can see 40 and 50. Here we can see on the outer line. Here we can see 40 and 50 on the inner line. So 45 पे यहाँ पे we make a dot. Similarly on this side, 45 पे यहाँ and 45 पे यहाँ. I hope this part is clear. I'll again hold it here and show you. Okay, you keep your protractor, the lower line of the protractor on the line that you have drawn, and mark, you see 40 and 50 over here and 45 ka line over here, put a dot here. Similarly, you see 40 and 50 over here and 45 ka mark over here, put a dot over here. Okay, so we will get 45 degrees angles over here. And then again, using a scale, we join these 2 dots and take them even further till the circle. Okay, so oops, what's happening? This. Okay, similarly on the other side, join the 2 dots, the 2 opposite dots, and take your line further till the circumference of the circle. And see, you will get to know this another important tip. You will get to know that your marking is absolutely correct when you are drawing this line and your pencil tends to dip and then come on the paper, that is dip on the center point where you had kept your compass. That whatever paper you're using, there is a slight dip that the compass pin gives. So when you're drawing this line, Your pencil dips in and you understand that yes, you are going absolutely correct on your line. Okay, so now this gives us 8 divisions, right? So in the same manner, now you can use the protractor and then keep dividing your keep making yeah, dividing the circle into uh, it's further. Okay, so like for initially we had 4, then we had 8, then we can have 16, and then we can have 32 when we start with this cross. Okay, when we start with this cross, we have first we have 4 divisions, then we have 8, and then we have 16, and then we have 32, because they keep doubling as we keep making next divisions. Okay, Alpa, yes, the messages may be coming delayed. All right. So this we are done with the basics of giving divisions to your circle in 4, 8, 16, and 32 number. Hmm. And then next comes see, we have the outermost circle, and usually, yeah, once the outermost circle is done, the partitions are made whatever number you require. You can do this step, the one I'm doing now, or you can do this even before making the partitions. Okay, but like if you do the circle thing before making the partitions, you work with the pen before you make the partitions, because at times like this happened. Okay, if you happen to make a crooked line like this one, okay, if you happen to make a crooked line, you can erase it. And if you're erasing it, if you have done the circle with a pencil, okay, and not covered it with a pen, your circle will also erase. Okay, we don't want that to happen. So that if you're making the lines after the circles, please do cover them with the pen, whatever colors you're going to use. So again, what I have done is I haven't measured it over here. Okay. So if you want, you can measure also. If you want, you can do it as a, okay. Sorry. If you want, you can measure. Otherwise, I don't measure and make them. I make the inner circles just with my this thing. What to say? And give a double line of the circle here, and both the lines then have to be done with the pen before you divide the circle into parts. Again, reduce. This I am telling you the basic. A second line. Now, before you make the basic pattern or the grid of the mandala, you should be knowing what actually you're going to draw on that. Okay, I mean what actually your what designs you're going to draw on that. Okay, so accordingly you make these circles here. The innermost has should can be a very small circle, or innermost can be like what I have left here. You can give a major subject over here, like I explained yesterday. Also, you can have any religious symbol over here, or any deity picture over here, or okay, and then you draw your mandala designs around that. In that case, you leave this free. And if you want to have the complete mandala design, you can make more circles inside. Hmm? So now I'll tell you how to make 6 divisions in the circle. Okay. We have already done 8 divisions. I have already told you how to draw the circle initially with the 4 lines. I have those 4 lines here on the with pencil. Okay. And then I have marked point. I have made one more smaller circle inside, which is with the pen. I hope you can see that. And I have made the marked the intersection of the line and the circle A, B, C, D. Okay, I hope this point is clear. Okay, before that, let me first finish with the 8 divisions. Now, suppose we don't have the protractor. Okay, suppose we don't have the protractor, how will we divide our circle? If we make, like we have made these diagonal lines, if we make straight lines like this, at times what happens is that straight line is not absolutely straight. In that case, we have to measure, like this is 21 centimeter, so we have to measure half of 21, which is 10 and a half. So we mark it here, we mark it here, we mark it here, we mark it here, and then we join the lines. Okay, and then again we do the same thing over here, half of 10 and a half, half of 10 and a half. We'll keep, measuring and marking, and then we join the lines, which means that all over here we have markings, all over here we have markings, all over here we have markings. Then we are joining the lines, which is a tedious task. And also, if we do that, at times when we are marking using the scale, uh, as I mentioned earlier, even 0.1 mm of this thing will make a difference in our grid. So that comes, if we do with the scale, that comes. It needs a lot of practice to be perfect on that. So easier and faster method is doing it with a compass. Because if we are doing a mandala, we have to have a compass. Without that, we can't work because we have to have circles. Okay. So what we do is we use the compass, and if we have our outer circle as big as our paper, like we have it here, we make another small circle inside. Okay. And on the intersection parts of those diagonal lines and this circle, we mark A, B, C, D. Okay, now putting my compass on A and taking the radius of the compass, anything more than half of uh, half of the distance from A to B. Okay, anything more than half of the distance from A to B, I will draw a ray outside that circle. Now this has to be done with a pencil. I am doing with a pen to show you. Okay, more than half of the distance between A and B, and I draw a ray over here. Okay, and then I put my compass on B and intersect this ray. Similarly, I will put my compass on B and draw another ray with the same radius, and C another ray this side and one ray this side with the same radius. Then I put my compass on D and I draw a ray this side, and I draw a ray this side. And then I put my compass on A again, and I draw a ray this side. So now we have four points where the two rays are intersecting. Okay. We can either mark them E, F, G, H. Okay. Or work. I will mark them E, F, G, H. Sorry, E, F, G, H. I'm marking them E, F, G, H. Okay, but when you're working, you can work without marking also, but I need to show you what is to be done. So I am marking here. Okay, now we join E and G. That is the two opposite intersecting points. Okay, and again, check that the center point is this line that we draw will be touching the center point. Okay, so we draw a line from E to G and taking it further till the circumference of the circle. So here we divide a circle into 8 parts without using a protractor. So if you find this method convenient, you can work this way. If you find using protractor convenient, you can work that way. Now again, for further divisions, we take the same step. We reduce the radius of the compass, okay, but it should be anything more than half of the 2 points. That is the new line drawn, which I mark small a, small b, small c, and small d. So from big A to small a, the radius of the compass should be anything more than half of the distance between big A and small a, and draw a radius here, and draw a radius on the other side also, or draw a ray on the other side also. Now do this with all the points. That is, earlier we had 4 points, now we have 8 points. So we have to do this with all the 8 points. And that will divide our circle into 16 parts now. Okay, and now I mark them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then take a scale and join 1 and 5. Again, keeping the same point in mind that when we are joining these 2 points, we are also touching the center of the circle. Two and 6. Touch the circumference on both the ends. 3 and 7. Touch the circumference on both the ends, and also keep that in mind that you feel that dip of the compass with your pen or pencil. Pencil actually, I am using a pen. I am repeating that so that you don't forget that your markings have to be done with a pencil. So now we have 16 divisions. I'll make these also with pen, the previous ones that I had already done. So now we have a circle with 16 divisions without using a protractor. Okay, like this. So you can further divide if you want even more intricate mandala, or if it is a huge mandala, definitely you'll need to divide it even further. Okay. Mm, I'll take this one. Again, I'll use a pen to draw those center lines first. And now here I'll show you how to make 6 divisions. Sorry, for 6 divisions we have to have only one line. In fact, yeah, but that you should be, as I also mentioned, it should be with a pencil. I marked the center here with a red pen. May not be clearly visible to you. I'll just draw a small circle around it. This is the center. And using my protractor, now we have the total this thing angle of the circle is 360 degrees. Okay, so when we divide it into 6 parts, it will be 60. So how we divide in 6 parts? We keep the protractor line, as I mentioned earlier, on the line that we have drawn, and then sorry, mark a point at 60 degree and mark a point at 120 degree, and then at 180 degree we already have a line here. Okay, same way, place your protractor on the line, mark a point at 60 degree and mark a point at 120 degree. And then join the two opposite points. Touching the circumference of the circle and also feeling the dip of the center. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 divisions. Now further we can divide it into 12 and then 24 and then 48, again using the protractor, or you can use a compass. Both ways it can be done. Now if we are doing it with the protractor, if we want this much, it's okay. If we want it smaller, initially only we can do 30, then 60 we have, then 90, 120 we have, then 150, and same thing on the other side also. Thirty, 60 we have, 90, 120 we have, and 150, 180 we have. And now we join the two opposite dots, touching the circumference of the circle on both the ends and feeling the center dip of the circle. This gives us the basic grid of our mandala. Now with 4 divisions and with 6 divisions. Okay, so then it goes 4 into 2, 8 into 2, 16 into 2, 32, and 6 into 2, 12 into 2, 24 into 2, 48. Like that you can divide your circle. Okay, and then of course, as I told you, making circles inside your main circle. And another is first mark square, then mark the diagonal lines. Now all when you practice, today you need to practice all of this. When you practice, you can do it with a pen or a pencil, whatever you feel comfortable. Okay, but as we go further, you will understand which part is to be done typically with a pencil only and which can be done with a pen. That definitely will come with practice also, and we need to practice before we make the final thing. So you must do some practice work today. Okay. Now we have a outer square and then we have a circle. Now suppose we have to make a inner square as well. How we can make a perfect square inside a circle? Okay, not very difficult at all. We already have these marking lines with a pencil with us. Okay, so using these intersecting points A, B, C and D. Okay, using these intersecting points, we draw a square inside the circle. Like yesterday, I mentioned that mandalas have squares and triangles within the circle. Mandalas have squares and triangles outside the circle. So, how to make the grid for that, we should know. So if these diagonal lines are made with the pencil, we can rub them and then we can see a perfect square inside the circle. Okay. Now how to make a perfect triangle inside the circle. The basic steps again same. Divide it into a square and draw a circle. And draw a straight line again with a pencil, or even without a pencil. With a triangle can be done even without a pencil, without a complete line. Just make a small line. Okay, just make a small line with a scale, of course. I can see the line, on the other side of the sheet, so I started working without that. Yeah, just make a small line so that you have a clue to keep your protractor. Okay, now 180 degrees divided into 3 is 60 degrees. So we need 60 degrees, 360 degrees divided by 3 is 120 degrees. So we need a 120-degree marking. So we take first this marking 0 as first point, and then straight we go to 120 second point, and then we'll have to change the side of our projector because we are left only with 60 degrees over here, right? So we change it this side, and then from this side, since this is 0, we take 120 degrees here, and then this again on its own is 120. So we have 120 degree here, 120 degree here, and 120 degree here. So this is 3 division. Okay, now for this what we need to do is, from the center we take these points. Let's mark them A, B, and C. That is the points that we have marked with the protector. So from the center we extend one line through A, not a line, sorry. We just assume that there's a line and we mark a point here on the circle through A. Okay, this is the center. This is one point that we marked with protractor, and we then mark a point here which is 1. Similarly, we do with B, center, and touching B, we mark a point here which is 2. And from the center, touching the point C, we mark a point on the circumference, that is 3. And now we join 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 1, and we get a perfect triangle within our circle. Now when we make a square inside the circle and a triangle inside the circle, we again make a circle inside these. Inside, outside, both ways we can make, okay? Clear? Okay, now to complete the mandala here, we'll again pick our compass and draw some more circles, but one of them should be touching the edges of the triangle. So first we draw this one. Oops, something wrong somewhere. Some marking has gone wrong. I need to check it. That is why we need to work with the pencil, and this do happen. Okay, this do happen. That is why whenever I'm making my mandala, I always work with a pencil, so that if something goes wrong somewhere, as I said, even 1 mm of the measurement makes the difference. So probably these points, when I had put them with a pen, are slightly bigger than they actually should be. So when I join them, that 1 mm difference is showing here in the circle now. Okay, so it's good that I made this mistake, so that you learn from that you don't have to straight away work with a pen. Okay, even if you have a lot of practice, this goes wrong. Okay, so first circle has to be touching the edges of the triangle, and then you can give it a double line. And also what's happening is the paper is thin, the A4 paper. When you practice, you take care of that also. A4 paper is thin. So when we put the compass on that, the paper tends to tear off, and the compass moves here and there. The tip of the compass moves here and there. Okay, and then we can draw some bigger and some smaller circles to complete our mandala. these again you can do with pencil, and then you make your design, and then you erase whatever you don't want. Okay. Similarly, we can do for the square also. A circle inside the square, a circle outside the square, a circle intersecting the square lines. So this is all about the basic grid of the mandala, and I hope